Thanks for watching, everybody. This is coverage of the 2022 Long Beach Match Play Championship. We have a few different people that have been on Be Better Golf before that are playing in this. Everybody's really excited about it this year, back for the first time in the last 2 years. Here's Drew Cooper, who's been on the channel a bunch of times, and I've done a lot of different things with Drew. Drew is 1 over par at this point in the tournament. So how it works is there are 2 rounds of qualifying, and then the low 64 men get bracketed and play heads-up match play matches to go on and determine the champion. So Drew is 1 over par at this point. He is, I think this is his 12th hole of the tournament. This is the hole number 3 of the course, 412 yards. So here's Drew putting for his par, and you see the putting stroke looks good. He just got a new putter and a new grip on it and really likes it. Here's a slow motion shot of, this is the 5th hole, 360 yards uphill quite a bit, and Drew hit it really solid, but you can see the face just slightly open, and at that speed he said 4 right. And then he pitched it on to this point, still 1 over par and 4 birdie. So Drew will clean that up and make a par there. So this year there was 104 players that came out to play. And like I said, only the low 64 will go on to the matches. So big deal around here to be able to get to go to the matches. So this hole is a lot like number 7 at Pebble Beach, where it's way downhill, and actually once it gets past the hole it slopes away from you. For birdie, kind of a lip out there. So Drew remains 1 over for the first round of qualifying here at the Match Play Championship. Drew just hit a really long drive there, and I'll let you know, in his first round Drew was basically close to even par all day, but then made a triple bogey 8 on the last hole and shot 78 in the first round. So let's go over to my good friend Mike Padilla, who's been on the channel before. Mike is even par in the tournament as well, and here's on the par 5. This is also on the first day, and Mike will have that remaining on the par 5 for birdie to go to 1 under. Putter was not, the putter face was just maybe slightly open on that one. All right, here is this is the 18th hole, and this is Mike's ninth hole of the tournament. Hit a really good drive just up the right-hand side, kind of the side you want to be on for this angle. After the first day, Mike shot even par, which put him in about, I think, 14th place for the tournament. So here's on the second day, and this is about Mike's 12th hole, same hole that we saw Drew start on the other day. And Mike is, I believe, even par at this point. 4 birdie, and just missed it on the low side. So going to that same hole number 5, 360 yards, Mike absolutely crushed that drive. The wind was not helping this day. It's uphill, and he's just got this little bit of a pitch, and you can see just had a little too much action there to check up. So Mike will have this for birdie, and I'll let you know that by the end of the day, Mike was in 23rd place. So Mike qualified. He shot 72, 74, and he'll move on to the matches. And that day I was able to only film 1 shot of Drew's, but Drew also qualified for the matches. Had a much better day the second day and shot even par around with 6 birdies. So Drew takes the 42nd seed, and Michael took the 23rd seed, going in to the first round of 64.
8:50 time. The first player in the next match, from San Pedro, Kevin Bodlovich.
So here's Drew's opponent, Kevin Bodlovich. He is a local guy that has played this golf tournament since 1996. The best he ever finished in this tournament was in 1998 when he made it to the Final 4. Kevin's a really good player, very, very steady and solid. A good opening drive that will be in the right side of the fairway.
And the second player in this match, representing the entire northern half of California, Drew Cooper.
All right, here's Drew. This hole is the 10th hole that they're playing as the first hole in this tournament. It is 426 yards. Drew just hit a really solid drive down the left side, and he'll have near, I think, like 105 yards, I think. So here's Kevin from like 160 out. And don't mind my camera work here. I'm trying to do a good job. And Kevin hits it really close. And Drew, I'm not sure. Let's see if I pan over to see where the red stake is. Drew has inside 100 yards, so he hit that like 340 or something like that. So he's got a wedge here. Drew's been trying to work on his wedge game. If you saw that vlog that I did with Drew, he's been talking about different strategies he's coming up with to try to hit better wedges, because he's always has, with his length, he always has about 80 yards, 60 yards, 70 yards, those. Drew hits this one just short right of the pin, and I'll have this remaining for birdie. If you can see that marker up there on the right, that's Kevin, who's in at about 6.5 or 7 feet. Drew told me he hit the exact putt he wanted there, but it went a little left. And here's Kevin for birdie to go 1 up in the match. I'm just kind of putting this together. I don't really feel like doing titles and everything else, so I'll try to repeat the score a lot of times.
Good birdie.
So that's birdie for Kevin, who goes 1 up in the match. It's just a really interesting matchup between these two different styles of play. This is their second hole, the 11th hole, which is 360 yards. A sharp dogleg right. Kevin hits it right down the middle, right where you want to be, on the right-hand side of the fairway. Here's Drew trying to shape something here. Drew hits a really straight shot over the trees and through the fairway. Kevin, I missed his shot, but he hit it from, again, about 160 yards to that. So that's where Kevin is. Back out in the fairway, here's Drew from, I think, 88 yards. And he's got it up in the air with the wedges. Made a much better sound than other wedge shots he's been hitting recently. And hit it to a
Can we start hitting some wedge shots?
So Drew was conceded that putt. So that's birdie for Drew. And this is Kevin to keep his lead of 1 up. So he's got to make this to stay 1 up.
Oh.
Really a great putt. Just broke a little bit towards the ocean, possibly. So the match is all square going into the third hole of the match, which is a par 3. It's way in the back, but it's only 137 yards. With it in the back, it's probably like 144, something like that. Drew hit that a little bit thin, and he's on the back fringe. Here's Kevin. Kevin comes up a little bit short, and then it spun. The greens were hard for people to figure out. During the qualifying, they were very firm. But then during the matches, it's like they got a lot of water or something, and they became very soft. So it took some kind of game time decision making to figure out how you were going to play the greens.
Awesome.
And I thought Drew left that way short, but he hit it all right, and then that was conceded. So the match remains all square going into the drivable 13th hole. Drew hits his 2-iron with like a hybrid with a graphite shaft pin high on this 305-yard hole. But unfortunately, Drew is like in the well of a tree. You'll see he's got a horrible lie. There's Kevin with driver. So this gives us a good idea of Kevin's length. Hits it dead straight right in between those two cart signs. He's in a perfect spot, and he hit that probably about 280, maybe like 277, something like that. So he's right in the middle of the fairway. And Drew was right by that tree and could only punch it to there, but that actually was a really great shot to get it there, because you can see if I pan over, he's perfectly pin high, and he'll have that remaining for an up and down to save a par. Here's Kevin out in the fairway with really soft hands, but got under it just a little bit too much, as far as put a little bit too much spin on the ball, and it came up short. Here's Drew pitching for his third shot.
Nice.
Really great short game shot there that was conceded for his par. So that's a 4 for Drew, and here's Kevin to win the hole with birdie. A very good putter. Like I said, very consistent player. Up for birdie, and gosh, came up slightly short. So the match remains tied. I guess tied is what you're supposed to say. This is a par 5, 522 yards. Drew hits a draw around the corner, and just a really long ball. So it's 522
Drew
yards.
has 174. Here's Kevin.
Drew has 174 remaining, so I'll have to do a little bit of math on that to see how far Drew hit that. Kevin has, so Drew's going to have something like an 8-iron, and Kevin has this 3-wood going in. So just interesting to see how each player approaches tournament golf from the different length that they have and skills that they have. Kevin hits a good shot, so he'll be a little bit on the left side, but the smart side, because he'll have lots of green to work with. Drew, 8-iron from 174, and it just goes straight at the hole, and then basically a pull draw. There's a slight pull that drew all the way pin high left. Okay, so I had to go to work, but I had some people come out later, and we're going to see the final 5 holes of the match, which was filmed by my friend Andrew. After the front 9, Drew was 2 up in the match, but then Kevin made 3 birdies in a row to flip Drew, and now as we rejoin the match, Kevin is 1 up on the 5th hole, which you guys will remember is this Pebble Beach style way downhill 106 yard par 3. Drew hits a great 60-degree wedge that spins back at the hole. He'll have about 15 feet. Here's Kevin just past pin high on the left fringe, and these ones from the fringe, they have a way of going in usually. So Kevin gave that a bit of a charge. That will not be conceded. He'll have to putt that. Drew, if there's a tendency in the putting, it might be a little bit of a left tendency. But, I mean, the putting was good. Drew made no bogeys so far in this match. So it was a well-played match. So Kevin remains 1 up in the match going into the final 4 holes.
Perfect.
This is the long 6th hole, 428 yards. Kevin, of course, hit it right down the middle. Here's Drew, and he just smashed this way down the middle. And Drew has this remaining, and he hits a good shot. This is like 130 yards or less, and has this remaining for his birdie. Leaves it on the high side and a little short. So they tied that hole. Kevin remains 1 up, and this is Drew's tee shot on the 7th hole, their 16th hole of the match. Hits it way down the middle, then had 120 yards in, and just landed it about halfway up on the green, and spun it all the way back to here. Drew said he hit a pitching wedge, 120 yards, which is a lot of club for him, and he hit it easy, but it still landed and zipped back like 15 feet. And Drew has that remaining, and I'll let you know that Drew, and that was not conceded. And Drew hit a little bit of a bump and missed the putt. So Drew goes 2 down with 2 remaining. Kevin again hits the center of the fairway, and Drew hits a bomb, but it's way down the left side. So here's Andrew to explain what's going on here. So Drew was, up there, like way to the left, and then, he hit it to there. So Drew has this remaining for birdie, and Kevin has this for his birdie. So if this goes in, the match is over. So Kevin will have to putt that, but he did make it. So that's a 4 for Kevin. And Drew basically knows that he has to make this to have a chance in this match, and misses it. And Drew made the comebacker, but then Kevin made his. So Kevin wins the match 2-1, and Drew is bounced out of the Long Beach Match Play Championship. Really good match. Drew only made 1 bogey, that 3-putt on their 16th hole. Kevin was just too much for Drew this day. He made those 3 birdies in a row, and I don't think he made any bogeys. So that's just a really high quality of golf to see. I filmed a lot of other golf content the following day following around my friend Johnny. If you guys would like to see that, I'll cut it together and add it to the channel. Thanks for watching, everybody. Go follow Drew on Instagram, D_Cooper86. Follow us here at Be Better Golf. Just click the subscribe button. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye.